kuwa na umetoka kifua mbele. Baadhi ya hotuba zako katika kipindi cha wiki moja pia imesisitiza sana swala hili la vita dhidi ya ufisadi, lakini kwa upande mwingine hizi asasi ambazo zimepewa majukumu ya kutekeleza vita hivi pia ni kana kwamba vinasukumwa huku na kule. Kwa sababu gani? Nitakupatia mfano. Kesi ya Kimwarer na Arror hivi majuzi imetaja kuwa hakuna ushahidi wa kutosha. Kulikuwa na jitihada pale za tume ya ufisadi na maadili nchini katika kuhakikisha kwamba wanatengeneza kesi. Je, ina maana kwamba asasi zako kuna baadhi zinalegea katika kutekeleza wajibu wake, kwa mfano afisi ya DPP?
Kwanza niliwaambia Wakenya katika serikali yangu hakutakuwa na pesa ya kuibiwa. I think I made that statement. I said there will be no money to be stolen. And many people are wondering what that meant. Because what we are doing now, for example, and I will come back to your question, because we are talking about corruption.
Yep.
How do we put mechanisms in place to stop theft, corruption, pilferage? And I have told you the greatest enabler that is going to make us overcome the challenge of corruption is through digitization. It is the reason why I embarked on digitizing government services. From 350, now we are at 14,000. We were collecting 60 million on e-citizen every day. Today we are collecting 600 million every day. My plan is that by next year, we should be collecting minimum 2 billion shillings on e-citizen every day. What does that do? It stops the corrupt. It stops people stealing. It stops pilferage. And for your information, let me just give you a statistic. KWS, right? Their budget for a whole year was 4.3 billion, but given them actually a budget of 4.5 billion. In 6 months, because of e-citizen, in 6 months, they have collected 4.3 billion. Half the year, they have collected what we had, what they had been given as an estimate for the whole year, which means by the end of this year, they will double their collection. I'm just giving you one incident. So what will that do? That is how my plan on how to manage corruption, number one. Number two, I promised the people of Kenya that the independence of the judiciary is going to be sacrosanct. I can tell you for free that they have never received a telephone call from the president to tell them, manage this case in this manner, that manner, this corrupt person or that corrupt person. I promise the same to EACC, I promise the same to DCI, I promise the same to DPP. It is their responsibility. They ask me for support, and I have given as much support as I can muster to all these institutions. Let's come to the, are they doing what they should do? It is not for me to judge. It's for the people of Kenya to judge, because they report to us. I am telling them what I can within the separation of powers, that it is our expectation. That's why I'm speaking publicly, in public fora, to tell them, look, the people of Kenya have expectations that those who are corrupt, and if there is anybody who is corrupt, has a matter, and they say, and one of the agencies say, oh, the president told us not to prosecute this person, I would say in public, in front of TV, they should tell me, because I will never do such a thing. Coming to Kimwarer, if you followed Kimwarer, I said in the campaign trail that the case for Kimwarer was a fraud, because it was. Because it was. Because that case was being used politically. And that is why I have said we do not want political cases. And that's why I have told the investigative agencies, I don't want them to help me with politics. I will do my politics. I will look for supporters. I will look for all these groups, lobby groups and what have you. I will do politics. Them, they should dispense justice. And under my administration, there is nobody who will be prosecuted because of politics or politically, or because they are not aligned to this way and that way. But nobody is going to hide behind politics. That because you are a politician, or because you are a friend of the president, or because you are a relative of the president, you cannot be prosecuted. That one I have said in public, and I have told every cabinet minister, nobody should go to their office and tell them the president has sent them, or they are a relative of Mr. X or Mr. Y. I will not send anybody to any office to do anything.
Na,
they must do their job in accordance with the law.
Mheshimiwa Rais, unaposema kesi ya Arror na Kimwarer ilikuwa ni utapeli, unamaanisha kwamba hakuna pesa zozote za mtozo ushuru zilizopotea katika kesi hii inayohusiana na mabwawa ya Arror na Kimwarer?
Sisi ndio tulipoteza hiyo pesa, kwa sababu serikali wakati ilienda ikasimamisha hawa contractor, the contractors went to court, right? Because they hadn't committed any crime. Number one, we were supposed to give them land to do the dam. You know, we didn't give them the land. The land was there, but somehow, and I don't want to accuse, I think we have said let's not talk about the past. Whoever was there decided they should not get the land because they wanted to frustrate the project. The thing disappeared. The DCI was mobilized to go and get the contractor in Itare. You know, up to today, nobody knows what the problem was with Itare. They went to court. We have had to go and negotiate. I have had to go and negotiate with Italy, for your information, for us to settle, because we were going to pay 40 billion for nothing, without anything on the ground. So we've had to negotiate.
So then, is there a correlation between your negotiations with the Italian government, and the president was actually here, of Italy that is there a relationship between that and the withdrawal of charges against all these accused persons?
No, ask the court. I mean, the court has been going on.
Yeah.
What did the court say? There were no witnesses, because what happened?
The court
witnesses
said this was a prosecution-driven acquittal. Because there's no longer any cooperation. And the reason I'm asking this question is because you stood at the steps of the front of this building and you said that you have agreed with the president of Italy to withdraw all cases against the farms in Italy, and Italy was also going to withdraw all cases against the government of Kenya.
Correct.
So I'm asking the question because initially there were several people that had been presented before court. Some of them, I think even the current central bank governor, Kamau Thuge. Is there a relationship? Because you said withdrawal will be done.
When we talked about...
Is there a consequence?
No. What we said about the withdrawal was they took us to court in London. We made a counterclaim just to make sure that we are not exposed. So when we made the counterclaim, then that's how the case was continuing. So we said, for that matter, they are going to withdraw their case in the arbitration court. We were going to do the same. It had nothing to do with the cases in Kenya, because the cases in Kenya were criminal. The cases in the arbitration were contractual. So these were very different cases. So the case has been going on in the Kenyan courts, mention after mention. I mean, and by the way, those cases were going on even before I came to office. They had been there for 3 years, and it hadn't moved 1 inch. Why?
Do you think there was any feasibility study done on the two dams? Do you know of any?
That is now for you to determine.
No, I'm asking
because,
you.
you have all the information, because you know that there was supposed to be a feasibility study. You must be having the information.
I don't have the information. You're the president of Kenya.
You should be having
What's the feasibility study?
What I can tell you is that that contract of Kimwarer and Arror was signed with other contracts, similar contracts, in the front of State House here, in the presence of the president then. I wasn't even there.
And that's what I'm asking.
Those contracts were signed.
That's what I'm asking you. Are you aware of any feasibility study for the two?
I am aware that the contracts were as legitimate as they were signed.
Okay.
They were signed before two heads of government at that point in time. And if there was any problem with them, it should have come out in court.
The reason I'm asking that is because you then, I don't know, should I conclude that you don't have any information of any feasibility study? Because if there was none, then that is contrary to procurement laws.
If you know that there was none,
I'm asking, I don't know.
no, if you don't know, why are you asking?
I'm asking you.
No, I mean, if you don't know, why are you making an assertion on something that you don't know?
I've asked you a question.
What I can tell you is that, to the best of my knowledge, by the time contracts are progressed to a place where it is signed before a head of state, that those contracts should have met every condition.
And your predecessor found there was no feasibility study.
If he found out that there was no feasibility study, then he should have prosecuted the matter in the way it should have been.
Which happened. People were taken to court.
And then where did we end up with the contract? We end up with the government of Kenya.
Just on that issue,
and if it went to court for 3 years, why didn't it progress?
So we are looking at it even.
And the president then was in office. Why didn't it progress for 3 years? If it was as simple as there is no feasibility study, I mean, it should have been an open and shut case.
We have seen what the judge has actually said. And you look at a situation whereby the prosecution is literally paralyzed in court. And this is not just even Arror and Kimwarer. I mean, in the last 15 months, we've seen one case after the other collapse in court. And this is keeping Kenyans thinking. Yes, you came in and said at that time corruption was being weaponized. But now there's a feeling that now the law enforcers actually, it's a situation whereby there's protectionism instead of now the exact opposite of what was happening then. What do you tell Kenyans on this, where you find...
I want to tell the people of Kenya that I will discharge my responsibility in making sure that all independent institutions are appropriately facilitated. In fact, the DPP has sent a request on additional resources to hire more staff so that they can discharge their responsibility well, and I am looking at that request. We have given additional money to the judiciary. I will facilitate, my administration will facilitate all the independent agencies to discharge their responsibility. We will also dispense our responsibility in making sure that the judiciary is independent and doing their job. Yeah? Mm-hmm. That I will do. And I will make sure that nobody hides under the presidency, the government, friendship, anybody must be taken to court if they are committed crimes. But beyond that, I will also go the extra mile and prevent public money from being stolen. And that's what I'm doing. I am saying prevention is better than cure, they say. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, yeah? Mm-hmm. That's why I'm saying for us to avoid unnecessary matters, let us see how we manage we manage public resources. And that's why I'm even telling, because there are some people who are still dodging the digitization process. They are still dodging the 222 government payment platform because they are used to paying things. In fact, I know, for example, some institutions, when we say they must pay through the digital platform, they are now asking for checks. Some of them are asking for back transfers because they don't want accountability. And I'm giving them a warning. We said by 31st of this month, every government service must be paid on e-citizen. And even land, which is the biggest challenge, we have now said the Ministry of Lands is going to be cashless, all the way to Mashinani. Anybody, and I'm telling Kenyans here, anybody who asks you for cash for payment of a public service, look at them in the eye and tell them they are fraudsters.
Na Mheshimiwa Rais, katika vita dhidi ya ufisadi na uhuru wa taasisi mbalimbali na mihimili tofauti ya serikali, umejitangaza wazi wazi kwamba hutalegeza kamba katika vita dhidi ya ufisadi.
Hutalegeza kamba.
Naam, na umekuwa na kauli ambazo umekuwa ukizitumia, na nikikunukuu wakati mmoja kwa kule magharibi ukizungumzia kuhusu wafisadi ambao unaamini wamelemaza sekta ya viwanda vya sukari. Ulisema ima uhame Kenya ama nikuweke jela ama usafiri uende mbinguni. hili halijaonekana kuendana vyema na wachechemuzi wa haki za binadamu. Mbona usiruhusu mahakama ifanye kazi yake?
Nimezuia, si nimesema tutakupeleka mahakamani.
Inachukuliwa kama kitisho.
Lakini wacha nikueleze ya kwamba jambo la ufisadi ni figurative language to drive home the point that this is no longer a joke. And for your information, because of what I did, we have managed to sort out the biggest cartel in Mumias.
Vitisho vinafanya kazi.
No, sio vitisho, ni kuambia tu watu ukweli. Kwamba mahali mambo imefika, hatuwezi kuendelea vile tunaendelea. Lazima tubadilishe mwenendo wetu. And I am telling you, let me repeat here, that for those people who are corrupt, please look for another country. Because it is not going to be business as usual. Even as we look places where we find, even as we do what we have to do to make sure that all Kenyans are we avoid pilferage, we avoid corruption. Even as we do that, for those of the incorrigible characters, the people who benefit from corruption, the people who try even to influence the criminal justice system, you know, the people who beneficiaries, like what I talked to you about. I mean, surely, the people who are going to court to stop, you know, implementation of programs that are public, you know, these are, and you know very well, you can see the fingerprints that these are beneficiaries of corruption. They are so daring with impunity that they want to manipulate the whole system.
But
it is the same thing.
Isn't that democracy, really, Mr. President?
Is it democracy to steal?
No, sorry.
Going to
I'm
court.
talking about the question of going to court, especially for the programs you're talking about.
No, I mean, I have no problem. I'm not complaining. I've said they've gone to court, but I'm going to call them out that I know you. I know the fellows who have gone to court. I know the fellows who are sponsoring this, because I know them. They will not hide, because I can see their fingerprints. Let me give you an example. I told the people of Kenya that we need to increase our savings as a percentage of our GDP, that we are doing very badly. Countries like China are at 55%. We are at 12, right? How do we build our savings? You know, there are characters who went to court to say, let us continue paying 200 shillings, you know? And then Kenya is rated among the last countries on age-old poverty, you know? Because if you save 200 shillings, Bwana Wafula, how much money, surely? We have so many people. And that is how we do not have a pool of resources in Kenya that we can use to drive our own development. That's why we go borrowing left, right, and center. So we went to court, right? They went to court. I mean, we passed the law, 2014. They went to court. They stole the thing, 9 years, imagine, taking us from one courtroom to another. Then I called them and I told them, look at me in the eye, my friends. You have to stop this shit. You have to stop, you have to stop this nonsense. Yeah, it cannot continue like this, right? And they realized that I was not joking, you know? So we agreed on an out-of-court settlement because they knew very well that they were beneficiaries of this whole conundrum. What has happened? Just let me tell you. We have wasted 9 years. What has happened today is that we were collecting about 1.3 billion at NSSF. Today, we are collecting 6.5 billion every month at NSSF. We are going to double, Sam, we are going to double the amount of money in our savings in the next 4 years, just as I told the country. You know, that is transformative. But it has taken some, you know, tough engagement with corrupt people, right? You know, telling them it cannot continue like this. And I know when I believe this is the right thing, I go out of my way. Because, you know, I have been elected by ordinary people. They cannot do what I can do. They have given me the opportunity to do it for them.
Right.
So that we can begin even, the moment we have savings, We can even begin to reduce interest rates because we are talking about our own money.
Right.
We're not looking for money from other countries.
Mr. President.
This is how we're going to transform Kenya.
Mr. President, it's been 2 hours.
Ladies and
My
gentlemen.
water is drained. Please sip yours as we transition to the next conversation.